Hello, listeners. Jordan here. I just want to let you know that you can listen to Nighttime early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
You are listening to Keep Canada Weird, a weekly weird news roundup by the Nighttime Podcast.
Handsome Aaron Airport. Last week we fought off death that came at us in the form of a raging vehicle going through a red light. This week we're fighting something altogether more modern. Do you want to tell the people what's going on with me?
Yeah, I'll be the one to break the news if they haven't seen it through some of the social media channels yet. We were supposed to record this podcast on Tuesday evening, as we normally do, and not only was I busy with a rehearsal, but you, Jordan, had come down with a deeply disturbing illness.
Yeah, I took the Keep Canada Weird time machine back to 2021, and somehow I got COVID, of all things. I tested positive on one of the pregnancy-looking tests.
Yeah, you are pregnant with COVID.
And I did make a post on social media. I vowed to reveal my symptoms if my post got 2,000 likes. At this point, the post has about 12 likes. So I will spare you all the symptoms of what I'm dealing with. And instead, we'll focus on something we all agree with more so than COVID. And that is keeping Canada weird by exploring and highlighting and unpacking a collection of weird news stories that played out across this great nation over the past week. And tonight, we have a doozy. In fact, I think we have 2 weeks worth of weird stories from the last week. And we got to jam all that in, as well as jam in some voicemails from our listeners. Before we get to them, though, anything you want to say, anything going on, anything unique or interesting in your world outside of having a friend with COVID?
Yeah, having a friend and coworker with COVID, which even though we are recording via the internet, the information superhighway, on an application called Zoom, I still am concerned that you're going to spread your germs to me.
Okay. Do you have like antivirus software on your computer?
I just rubbed a bunch of hand sanitizer on the screen.
Okay.
And I think that'll
I'd say we're good.
that'll help. Yeah.
All right. Let's get to something more sane than sanitizer being rubbed on your screen. Let's hear a bizarre story that came to me in the form of a voicemail from a listener named Miranda. Something unusual happened in Nanaimo, BC. I want to start the show off with this. I'll play you her voicemail first, and then we can learn a little bit more. Here's a story Miranda wanted to share with us and the listeners.
Hi, Jordan and Aaron. This is Miranda calling from Port Alberni in British Columbia on beautiful Vancouver Island. I'm calling because the island is not free of weird stories, that's for sure. I found one from a couple of weeks ago on July 15th. The headline is Mounties Say Man with Bra on Head Tried to Stab a Stranger in Nanaimo. So I'll send this link to your email, but the story's kind of wild from start to finish. Thanks for the show. I love listening, especially when I'm commuting an hour to and from school. And yeah, I just wanted to call in with the story. Thanks. Bye.
When I get an email from a listener letting us know that a man with a bra on his head attacked somebody in Canada, I think Aaron and I got to get to the bottom of this. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I Googled it. I got a short version of the story that seems to come from a police press release here. If you have it in front of you, you can read it and spare me collapsing onto the floor.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to read this for you.
It sounds made up already, though, right? Like, why would someone with a bra on their head do anything illegal?
Bras on heads, to me, are always frat parties from the 1980s, which are always fun-loving, innocent festivities. So I'm quite shocked at this. So here we go. Mounties on Vancouver Island are on the lookout for a suspect who allegedly tried to stab a Nanaimo resident during a dog walk that took a seriously strange turn last week. The 44-year-old man was out for a stroll with his large dog in the woods behind Northfield Rotary Lookout Park when things got weird. According to the Nanaimo RCMP, he was suddenly confronted by a stranger who, for reasons unknown, was wearing a bra on his head and wielding two knives. Yes, a bra on his head, and 2 knives. This bizarre incident happened around 9:30 a.m. on Thursday. The attacker tried to stab the man, but the victim's dog leaped at the attacker and bit him on the leg. As if that wasn't enough, the dog's owner, who happens to be trained in martial arts, quickly took control of the situation. He managed to subdue the attacker and even took the knives away from him. After being disarmed, the suspect didn't stick around. He fled the scene with a red suitcase and a red mobility walker, making a quick getaway. Police described the suspect as a white man between 30 and 40 years old, with shoulder-length brown hair and dressed in dark clothing. Despite a thorough search by patrol officers and police dogs in the area near Northfield Road, the suspect hasn't been found yet.
Here at Keep Canada Weird, we usually take these stories and again unpack them, discuss them. I'm completely speechless at this. To me, it seems made up. I read that article, like the first article or two I found on it. I read it being like, this is some elaborate hoax that the media fell for. But then when I found the police commenting on it, I'm like, this is real. This actually happened. I don't know
This
what
did happen. Yeah.
I have no idea what could be going on other than somebody, like, maybe this is a weird TikTok thing and someone off in the distance is filming it. But if it was some kind of prank like that, you wouldn't bring 2 knives into it.
No, probably not. But I've seen dumber things on TikTok, so
I guess
you never know.
It's good that this
But
guy had a dog and knew karate.
yeah, what a coincidence. Yeah, I didn't think people who had dogs knew karate. But I think my theory is that what we have here is a real life case of a Batman villain in training.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be kind of one of the more obscure Batman villains that you don't hear about. And, maybe they appear in one comic and then never again, or one episode of a campy version of Batman and then never again, but still part of the Batman universe and still part of canon. So I think this would be a reject Batman villain, bra man, mobility bra, or double knife bra guy, or
What's in his red suitcase? We'll never know. For we can't catch him with his red mobility.
And what does the color red mean? And what does this have to do with a bra and knives?
Yeah, and the writer of that comic put all those ideas out there to see if the readers of the Batman comic would bite. And if so, if there was interest, they'd make some follow-ups. There wasn't, so this character now is in a park in Nanaimo just accosting people.
Yeah, he probably figures the Batman series will reuse me if I commit real crimes as Bra Man.
I just need to get some media attention.
Yeah.
he gets bit by a dog and get his ass kicked. Some guy took his knives.
Yeah. You'll never catch me. I'm Bra Man.
We got to get into it here. We got a lot of interesting stories from the last week to talk about. We're going to be hearing about cars. We're going to hear about fights. We're going to hear about bikes. We're going to hear about payphones. And of course, we're going to talk coffee shops. To whet the palate, why don't we hear one of the many incredible Robin's Donuts ads we received from listeners. I got a quick one here. This is Matt from the United States. He made a Robin's ad. We'll listen to that and then we'll get into the stories.
Hi, listeners. Matt from St. Louis here. I recently learned about Robin's Donuts and coffee, and I love it. The donuts are always fresh, and the coffee is really smooth, unlike the insult to your taste buds that competition offers. Robin's really exemplifies what a quality coffee and donut shop should be. It's so good, I want to move to Canada.
Short and sweet. Great work, man. You like that one?
Yeah, it's a good tagline, Robin's Coffee, so good you'll move to Canada.
You want to start with some vehicle thefts?
I'd like to start with some vehicle thefts. I've been craving it, actually.
Okay. Have you ever had your vehicle stolen?
Not stolen, no.
Broken into?
I've had it broken into, yeah.
Did they take anything good?
I don't know. It was an older vehicle that I had that I always left unlocked.
Okay.
It was in my driveway, and I came out. This happened a number of times with this car. And I came outside and the door was just slightly ajar, the car
Oh,
door, and I open it up and the glove box is opened and things had been gone through, but there was nothing. I never really leave anything of value in my car.
okay. I had one experience with that as well. I got up one morning and I went outside and the trunk of my car was open. I was like, "What the hell? Did I like forget to shut my trunk when I like, got home yesterday?" So I slammed my trunk and then I got in my car and I'm like, "Weird, my glove box is open. Did I leave my glove box open when I got home last night?" And then I started putting it together like, "Oh my God, someone broke in my car and they opened my trunk." But what they took from me was the day before this all happened, I went to Walmart and I got all my Halloween treats. So in my trunk was like a bunch of bags
Oh,
of chips and
no.
stuff and chocolate bars. So the thieves left with like $40 worth of candy.
Oh,
Probably had a great night.
that is a tragedy though. I do love Halloween candy.
Yeah, but something maybe even worse than that is happening in Winnipeg. There's an interesting story playing out there. A new resident of the city who moved to Winnipeg from the United States to attend university is raising the alarm on rampant theft of vehicles in the city. Her car was stolen twice in just 3 weeks. Listen to this story.
Amelia Novachowski is set to start a new semester at the University of Manitoba this week, but her plans to drive her car to and from class were rerouted after her car was stolen again.
I never thought that this would happen.
But it did. Twice. The first incident happened just hours after Novachowski moved to Winnipeg from St. Paul, Minnesota earlier this summer.
Of course, I had the AirTag this time, as a safety measure because my car had been stolen 3 weeks prior.
Novachowski says her car was parked here on Edmonton Street, just 1 block from where it was stolen the first time. This time, the thieves took the car, drove it around the city before Novachowski was able to trace it to this lot on St. Paul Avenue.
To get through the steering wheel lock, the person who stole my car took a hacksaw or something and sawed through my steering wheel.
Novachowski says police also found an alcoholic beverage, a bullet, and a casing in her car.
I realized I have to get it back to Minnesota as soon as possible. I can't leave it in Winnipeg for even another night.
As a precaution, the student drove her car back to St. Paul.
It can happen that cars can be stolen multiple times if people are looking for a particular type of vehicle, or if there's a crime of opportunity and people are looking for a car and it's in that area and relatively accessible.
According to the Winnipeg Police Calls for Service map, downtown is a hotspot for car thieves, with 33 stolen vehicle calls made in the area between August 19th and 25th.
It's happening more and more through the year,
leaving Novachowski on edge.
My car's got stolen twice. What can I do to stay safe? I don't know, keep my phone on me and be prepared to call 911, that type of thing it's a little frustrating.
But the student says she's prepared to deal with it if it means her grandmother's car won't be taken for a third time.
I guess it's just bad luck because it seems like she's doing everything she should. She even has I used to call it the club. They called it a steering wheel lock, but I think she was using the club, which was that it's like a red metal thing that kind of locks into your steering wheel, and it makes it so that even if someone gets in your car, they can't move your wheel. In this case, with that second theft, it looks like they got in and used like a hacksaw to cut off a part of her steering wheel so they could remove what I call the club.
Yeah, I think that's what the product is called, the club, isn't it?
I don't. To me, it is, but I have a feeling there's probably different versions.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm sure there are, but yeah, it's unfortunate. It's, I mean, the police officer said that it's not uncommon, I guess, is maybe the language that they used.
I think they were downplaying it. It seems like they went to the guy with the question, like, can a car be stolen twice? And he's like, oh,
Yeah,
there's
I was
plenty
like,
of
yeah.
reasons. Of course it
Yeah,
can.
yeah.
What happened to
I've
this guy?
stolen the same car 3 or 4 times.
I think crime is just so rampant and just it happened to happen to her. And like just to make it even
Yeah.
darker, they find it has alcohol in it, a bullet, and a spent shell casing.
Now that
Winnipeg
sounds like the kind of thing you just sprinkle around when you're trying to frame somebody of something. Like, I'm going to commit a crime and then I'm going to steal this car and then I'm going to sprinkle a bunch of evidence around so that this car owner gets framed for the robbery or the murder or whatever.
Yeah, kind of like our guy last week. It's kind of like the story with our guy last week who was attacked by the bear. Like she's like, my car was stolen again.
Yeah, again and again. Yeah, and again.
Yeah, I feel for her though. It's like someone coming to Canada from the United States. We have the reputation of being this, friendly, nice, safe place. To have your car stolen twice, a bunch of bullets turn up, that's a bad look. But I don't know, Winnipeg,
Yeah, maybe just move out of Winnipeg. Maybe move somewhere else.
where
I
to?
mean, Winnipeg's not for you, as an American coming into Canada. You're not having much luck with that very particular place.
Yeah,
But
try like Canada Light. Move to PEI.
PEI, yeah, yeah. You may get your car stolen once in PEI, but probably not twice.
Yeah. The next story that I have is going to fly in the face of that idea I presented of Canada being this nice, gentle, friendly place. There's a story making the news about a fight between cyclists that occurred in Vancouver. I'm talking about a fist fight. Now, in this modern day and age, we see lots of videos of public freakouts, hissy fits, and fist fights, but rarely do we get the mainstream media hunkering down and trying to get to the bottom of what started the fight. But fortunately, for those of us interested in weird news stories, it seems like the media may have had a change of heart on this. A video began circulating across social media showing a group of cyclists fighting in a Vancouver park. CTV assigned a reporter to track down and interview those involved, and, well, of course, they all had a different story of who started it and exactly what happened.
So this is the first video I've received from other people.
A video that shows a nasty confrontation on Sunday at Second Beach in Stanley Park. It is short, and Alex Hillman admits it does not tell the full story. Even so, he vehemently denies allegations made against him.
And I'm not swinging or attacking or punching him. I'm trying to defend myself.
The lady in the video is Carrie Shaw. On Monday, she told CTV News that while out for a bike ride with her husband and their 14-month-old daughter, she yelled at a man she thought was riding dangerously. She says things got violent when he yelled back and her husband defended her.
Right here is where he assaulted my husband, punched him in the head, broke his glasses, knocked his hat off his head.
She also says he bit her thumb and threatened the couple with a screwdriver.
I wasn't trying to hurt this guy. I was trying to stop the situation from going on.
Hillman says he was the one who was attacked.
So let's go through them. You know what she said because you saw the story yourself. So let's be clear here. Did you bite her
No,
thumb?
I did not. No, I did not.
Did you threaten them with a screwdriver?
I did not threaten them with a screwdriver at no point. I pick up the screwdriver. I immediately put it in my bike. I don't look back to her. I don't say a word to her. I bike away.
The video ends abruptly, so it does not show what happened next. Hillman was wearing a GoPro, but he says the batteries died before the incident. Meanwhile, Shaw and her husband say they stand 100% by their story and have witnesses to back it. And both parties say once more videos surface, they are confident all the details will be revealed. For now, the matter has been reported to police, and it will be up to them to determine what happened.
Should end with for now, the matter has been reported to the police, who don't care about a little fist fight in the park between a bunch of cyclists pointing the finger at each other.
Yeah, I like that they interview the guy on the bike at his home in what looks like his crime command center. This is where he's got monitors everywhere. He's got all this equipment, like electronic equipment.
Weird lighting and stuff. He must be like a streamer or a video game guy or something. Because he's sitting in front of a bank of computer monitors, and on all the monitors he has like videos of the fight.
Yeah, I can only describe it as a villain's lair is how I would describe it. So I have to assume that he's the villain in the story based off of his lair command center that he has.
It does seem like he's pretty invested in this situation, but I'm just surprised anyone's given it any attention because nobody's been charged or anything. I think based on reading between the lines in that story there, it seems like CTV did a piece on the event and interviewed the woman and man involved initially after the video went viral. But now this guy with the command center is probably contacted them being I'll give you my side of the story. I didn't bite her.
Come to my lair and I'll weave you a tale of what actually happened between me and them. Yeah. And then they show up and there's all these racks and racks of screwdrivers with blood stains on them.
The allegation that he bit her is a pretty strong one. She shows her hand, and to me, it didn't look like it was bitten by someone. It just looked like she had a bad scratch. But I don't know if he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, the truth. If you interview two, I don't think there's a situation where you can interview two people who were involved in a fight and get to the bottom of what actually happened. The truth is usually by taking both stories and boiling them down to, perfect 50-50, you're getting pretty close.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to believe either side in this story, I feel.
Well, did any side even give us? He was driving his bike.
She said something
like
to
you're driving
him because he
dangerously.
was, yeah.
So she was probably like
And
a bit nasty with him, maybe like slow down, you idiot.
yeah, maybe she called him a screwdriverless loser, and then he's like, "I'll show you a screwdriver."
And then her boyfriend intervened, or her husband, or whatever. A fight ensued. And in this fight, it's not like this brutal, violent thing. It looked to me like they're just kind of grabbing at each other for a second, and then it stops. Like I don't think
people who like don't actually want to fight, but want to make it appear to everybody else watching that they do want to fight, but they're still trying not to fight.
Kind of
at
like
the same time,
like a bit of yelling and pushing. And
yeah, the odd little jab thrown, and then after you throw the jab, you run away.
Yeah, and now they're just on the news battling back and forth until more videos surface. Nobody else has videos. Nobody cares.
Like that's the thing that this guy said was that, oh, when more videos come to light, you'll see the truth. But is he aware of other people that were filming, or just assuming that other people filmed it?
I think, well, you see it there. He's at a command center with a bunch of monitors playing videos of his fight. He probably thinks this is the most important thing that has ever happened in the entire nation, is digging through surveillance footage, trying to get, any shot they can to figure out what happened between those bicyclists in this park. And maybe that's maybe not actually happening.
This is our second discount Batman villain on this show, is Captain Screwdriver.
You know what? I think we have a third Batman villain as well coming up.
Oh, yeah. Discount Batman villains is the total accidental theme of this episode.
Before we get to our next Batman villain, why don't we break it up with maybe a 911 call, so we can hear people on the front lines of fighting villains, emergency responders.
I haven't been a big fan of some of these, not on your account, but I've questioned some of the releasing of some of these 911 recordings.
Okay. Yeah, because we had the old lady who wanted the number for the bank. You didn't appreciate that.
Yeah, that was the one that I questioned heavily that they released.
We had the emergency ride. Actually, I got a voicemail about last week's 911 call. Last week's 911 call involved the girl who was going to be late for her train at Union Station in Toronto, calling 911 to see if they could, I guess, shut down the highway so her cab could get there. A listener named Nathan had some thoughts on that call. I just want to play it, and then we'll hear this week's call.
Okay.
Hey, Jordan and Aaron. This is Nathan from Morden, Manitoba. I was listening to your most recent episode of Keep Canada Weird, where the 911 caller asked for a ride from the police because she was going to be late for her train. I was just wondering what you guys think the taxi driver was thinking as she was calling 911 from the back of his taxi. Like, wouldn't he have told her, you can't do that? You can't call 911 for a ride? Anyways, just wondering what you guys were thinking. Love the show. Keep on keeping Canada weird. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, when we talked about this, I never considered the fact that the cabbie is listening to her make the 911 call.
Yeah, he's there the entire time.
He's probably just like, I'm going to let this happen.
Maybe he initiated as a joke. Maybe that's why she did it. Maybe the cab driver encouraged her to call because maybe she was complaining about, this makes complete sense now. She's complaining in the back seat of the cab about how she's going to be late for her train. And that the cab driver has to go faster. He's like, I can't go faster. I can't speed. I can't break the law. If you're late for your train, it's not my problem. Why don't you call 911? If it's such an emergency, call 911. They'll come pick you up and they can take you to your train appointment or whatever.
Well, those two that we've discussed already aren't the only crazy 911 calls from Canada. I got another one this week. This involves tomatoes. Listen to this.
911, do you need police, fire,
Hi.
ambulance?
Hi, sorry, can you come to at Queen Street?
Yeah, the police or an ambulance, or what are you looking for?
Police. I just want to talk to someone because I've been threatened by an owner
Okay, what did the owner say?
regarding my food.
An owner. Okay, so you're a customer,
I'm a customer, I am.
and
Yeah.
what did the owner say to you?
Well, I ordered a chicken sandwich, and basically the owner, I told him right before I ordered, I can't eat tomatoes because I'm allergic. And basically the owner, at that time, I was like, okay, you know what? It happened last week where I ordered something and it was to go, and I got tomatoes, and I told him I can't eat tomatoes.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with the police, okay, sir? Much less than 911. Please don't call 911 in the future for fried chicken
Perfect.
mishaps, okay?
And
So they edited a lot of that out to probably remove the name of the business. I don't know if you can tell, but yeah, I guess he thought a police officer was going to come respond and mediate or arrest the server.
Yeah, my impression of it is that this individual feels that the restaurant owner is trying to kill them by giving them tomatoes.
Maybe he's like, the owner threatened me. But I wonder if the threat was like what happened after, like, you got my order wrong, I'm flipping out.
But he said he's
flipping out.
allergic to tomatoes, so
Is that the?
you know,
I would have liked to hear what the threat is, because maybe something did happen, but it sure comes across like he's just mad that they got his order wrong again.
well, he's mad because he's allergic to tomatoes, so I can't have tomatoes on my sandwich.
Is that a police matter, do you think?
Well, it could be a police matter if you're deathly allergic to tomatoes and you order a sandwich and they put tomatoes on it and you feel for whatever reason that
it was intentional.
That was intentional.
Okay.
And there you go. That is a reason
It's
to call
attempted murder.
911. Yeah, yeah.
Attempted murder. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so is the villain, the Batman villain, the manager?
No, I don't know if we can fit this one into the Batman narrative, but I think the next one perhaps.
Okay. I think it could be, though. The manager could be Tomato Man or whatever.
I feel that this guy is just mad at them for getting his order wrong, which I get it, because I get my order wrong so often. Go to Tim Hortons, I feel like 20% of the time, not exaggerating, 20% of the time my order is wrong. Same at McDonald's, sometimes in my favor. I went to McDonald's once and they gave me like, I think I ordered like my kid like a chicken nugget Happy Meal, and they passed me this big heavy bag. I didn't think anything of it until I drove away, and it had like 4 burgers and a bunch of fries and stuff, and it's like, oh damn. But,
well, that happens a lot when you have those double lane drive-throughs and you're going through, and then, you know, maybe the order got shuffled and you paid for somebody else's meal, but you didn't really notice because it wasn't like an insane difference in price. And then you get up to the second window and they hand you a bag and they think that that's your order. And it's not necessarily that they messed up the order per se. They just gave it to the wrong person.
I see how it's a fast-paced job. I get it. I'd suck at it.
Yeah, and they get most of the orders right. That's the thing that people don't point out.
Yeah, it's like baseball. Sometimes you swing and you miss, right?
Yeah, human beings doing an activity, you know, there's a certain percentage of that activity that will be incorrect.
Well, let's hear another story of maybe a Batman villain, at least a regular villain who put some lives at risk. This story involves a 25-year-old man in Mississauga who made a big mistake. While driving a stolen Ford Bronco, he did the unthinkable. He pulled into a Tim Hortons drive-thru. Instead of a burnt bagel or an incorrect order, he got something slightly worse. He got boxed in by the police who'd been pursuing him. And what plays out next is pure chaos. Here it comes.
It was drama at the drive-thru.
It was crazy.
Things are getting really nuts.
It all began at this plaza in Malton, and someone who took notice of a car that stood out.
A store owner recognized that vehicle and the occupant as someone involved in a theft at a prior date.
The driver in his Ford Bronco at this Tim Hortons location didn't know what was about to happen.
On arrival, officers determined that that vehicle, the red Ford Bronco that we've all seen by now, was on file as stolen.
It's something you see in movies, man.
That driver waiting for his order instead got boxed in by police. Don't Rather than give up, even though he was pinned in and police had guns drawn, the driver tried to get away by accelerating over one police car and into another.
The desperate attempt to flee in there in that particular moment is a very, very dangerous scenario, not just for the officers. We've had officers killed this way, but for members of the public.
I think it was required because, I mean, you couldn't have him getting away.
The takedown beside the takeaway is unusual, but police say they're accustomed to drivers trying to flee in stolen vehicles.
The concept of being rammed is no longer a stranger to us, and as such, we've adopted new tactics in the way we do things. In this case, the way the officers pinned the vehicle in, both by the front and by the back, certainly made so that he couldn't escape.
A day later, customers told us police did the right thing.
To be honest with you, they needed to do what they had to do.
The driver of that Bronco facing an array of charges, including 3 counts of possession of property obtained by crime. Thankfully, no one was hurt here. Sean O'Shea, Global News, Mississauga.
Now, a lot of people out there are going to be just hearing the audio of that news clip. So for people who, if it wasn't clear in what they were saying there, when they boxed this car in at the drive-thru, the stolen car, he not only rammed the police cars that were boxing him in, his vehicle like drove right up on top of them. So he ends up being stuck like with his car or with his stolen Ford Bronco on top of 2 police cruisers right at the window of a Tim Hortons drive-thru. They're lucky no one got hurt. It did damage the building. There was some photos in that news clip where you can see all the bricks and stuff cracked. I'm kind of surprised that the police would confront him there, but I guess it is a good spot because he's, parked in a kind of concealed area or a confined area.
Yeah, when I first saw this video circulating on TikTok a couple of days ago, I think, and I didn't know all the details of it. I just saw somebody who looked like they were desperately trying to get out of the drive-thru at Tim Hortons, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I didn't know this was a Tim Hortons, and now I really want to get out of here, and I'll literally drive over cop cars to do that. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was kind of hoping the story was, But then when I found out it was a stolen vehicle and all these other details, I was like, that's not the narrative that I had hoped for.
Yeah, the fairy tale version of the guy trying to drive over the cop cars to get out of the drive-thru, Tim Hortons drive-thru in your head was a much more pleasant tale. This seems to just be an awful person who would risk the lives of the officers and Tim Hortons clients as a way to avoid being arrested. And it seems like he's probably where he should be. Locked up.
Yeah, locked up and force-fed Tim Hortons for the rest of their life.
Yeah, it's just a crazy. I'm sure you've seen it a lot, but I've received probably 10 emails about this story because so many news outlets are running with that footage because it's just shocking to see the Bronco driving over the cop cars with Tim Hortons right there.
You're only used to seeing that with like a big monster truck or something like that. Although it's a large vehicle, it's not quite a monster truck. So I was impressed about how it was able to wheel up on top of the cop car like that.
And it's also more of an American story. Like this would probably fit in better with a Dunkin' Donuts in the background in Florida.
Yeah, maybe. But Tim Hortons now has that reputation of just being the neighborhood hub of suspicious and reckless chaos and activity. Yeah.
Keep it classy, Canadians.
Well, it's getting harder and harder these days with everything going on and the tensions rising across our nation to keep it classy. Mm-hmm. People are attacking each other with double knives with bras on their heads and screwdrivers and driving over on top of cop cars, and it's total Armageddon out there.
Yeah. And when all this chaos is happening, there are important issues that are being ignored. And one of those issues is a conversation that's really struck a chord with a lot of Canadians out there. There's a question many of us are asking, and I think we should ask ourselves now before we wrap up the show. That question is, are payphones worth saving? How long has it been since you've seen a payphone?
I saw one recently and I was really shocked, but I can't remember where it was. Was it when we were in Toronto?
Maybe.
Was it you and me?
That was maybe. That was months ago. It's just, even if that is the case, because that's something I'm going to get to is, it seems like now there is, or at least there's attempts to start a discussion surrounding should Canadians make an effort to keep payphones? CTV News did an article about it, and some of the numbers they give on how many payphones there are, I thought it was surprising. Listen to the news clip, and then we'll react to this.
The humble payphone, now a rare sight, but these relics of communication nostalgic.
I can remember using a payphone when I was a roadie for Hart back in the 70s. It's amazing they're still around.
Still around, but just not as many. The telecommunications landscape much changed since the first payphone was installed in Hamilton, Ontario 143 years ago. From 2013 to 2022, CRTC data shows a 78% decrease in payphones. Only about 19,000 exist countrywide.
I don't really notice them at all.
One of the latest to disappear, this one in Kananaskis, a popular recreational area in Alberta out of cell range. It's to be replaced with a free community phone.
I understand it's a challenge to make them pay for themselves.
In fact, from 2013 to 2022, annual revenue per payphone dropped 66%, says the CRTC. Still, experts say don't hang up on payphones just yet. They are necessities, especially for low-income Canadians, tourists, and in various emergencies.
During an extreme weather event or forest fires where the cell phone infrastructure, for whatever reason, might be less reliable.
And if not in the traditional form, perhaps one that operates a bit differently.
New York City replaced their payphones with Wi-Fi hotspots that also have a calling function.
A call on this will never compete with this. And even if the payphone isn't needed for many Canadians, for old time's sake.
Next time you see one, try to use it.
Definitely. First of all, I have to borrow some change from somebody because nobody who carries change.
Because it might just be fun to go down memory lane.
The number that surprised me in that, 17,000 payphones across Canada. I was surprised by that. That's a big number. And when they were giving the stats as far as like the 78% decrease in usage and 66% decrease in revenue generated.
Yeah.
It surprised me that it's not like 99%.
That's
never
what
see
surprised me the most too. Yeah, it was like,
who uses them?
It's only a 66% decrease. Like, that's wild to me. Like, I didn't think that payphones even existed anymore. Only ones that maybe were left up by accident or
they just never like got around to taking it down or something. Like
yeah.
It's not like there was a time where every entrance to like a mall or whatever would have like 8 payphones and half of them would be in use. Like it was and they were everywhere. Now I would have to search, and Halifax is a big city. I'd have to search to find a payphone. I don't recall ever seeing one. And
I couldn't tell you where there's a payphone in Cape Breton. I don't remember seeing one for years and years around here.
Yeah. And then who would use it? It just seems like, well, I shouldn't say that. I could see
I could see it being a good benefit for someone who maybe can't afford a cell phone and needs to make a call every now and then.
Or their phone's dead, or they don't have a phone at all, and they need to use one. So I see like the social benefit of having payphones. Like I think in a perfect world, there'd be payphones all around for emergency situations where you could always pick it up and dial 911 and get somebody or, call somebody, but who's going to pay for that? Like the phone companies aren't going to do it because it costs them money to install these and maintain these if they're not earning the money.
Yeah, the government would have to step in and decide that we want to provide this to our citizens. But I was really alarmed at the very start of the news story to the guy looking for any excuse to mention that he was a roadie for Hart.
Yeah. They just stop him on the street. Like, excuse me, sir, we just want to ask you a question about payphones. Do you ever use payphones?
Yeah, no, I haven't used a payphone since I used to be a roadie for Hart.
Sir, are you in the market for a new bed? Are you looking to purchase a new mattress for your house?
Oh, I definitely need a new mattress because I haven't bought a new mattress since I used to make money being a roadie for Hart.
I like that he added that.
He probably hangs out in front of that. I think he was in front of a gas station or something. He probably hangs out in front of that gas station just telling anybody who will stop and listen about his days being a roadie for Heart.
Roadie for Heart. Well, that would have been a cool gig. Heart's a great band. I'm glad he mentioned it. I have no problem with that.
I have no problem with Heart or that he was a roadie for Heart, but I think he should have a more level head about himself, be more down to earth about it.
Yeah.
Stop bragging about it. Stop including it in every conversation he has.
Yeah.
I think he's probably pushed away a lot of people in his life over this, the fact that he won't let go.
Yeah, I think so. We all have battles we're fighting, and his is overcoming his past success as a roadie for Heart.
Mm-hmm.
A heavy burden to bear.
Absolutely. That his life peaked then, and that's fine. But there's other bands out there. Maybe, he could apply his skills. Bands still need roadies. They're not like payphones.
Heart is still touring. He should reach out.
Yeah.
They'd probably
we got to get to the bottom of why he's no longer a roadie for Heart.
Yeah, there's the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the real story within this story about payphones.
Do you have, so we both expressed our opinion that there is a social benefit to having payphones. There's probably no way that they're going to make the money necessary themselves to have them implemented across the country. I don't know if people are going to be okay with the government paying for it. I think they're probably gone, and that's what's going to happen. But would you use one? Like, if you see one, are you compelled at all to be like, I'm going to stick a quarter in and use a payphone? Like, is there a nostalgic kind of thing there?
No, I wouldn't have a desire to. I mean, it would be cool to take a picture of one, kind of look at it, but I wouldn't use it because I would only use it if I had to, if it was an emergency.
It's weird for me to say this as I'm sitting here sick with COVID, but when I see a payphone, the idea of like using that, I'd be like, I'm not putting that thing up to my ear and face.
No,
I catch something.
Because it's outside. They're usually quite defaced and spray painted and vandalized, and quite often the cords are burnt on them, I find.
Yeah, like people hold
across one.
Anything that's like plastic, people like hold a lighter up to it, so there's these weird burn marks, and they just look dirty.
Yeah, I remember when I used to be a roadie for Heart, I used to burn payphones.
When you start mixing up who you are versus who the people in the stories are, that's our time to start wrapping up this episode. I think we need to put a bow on this.
Okay.
You're having an identity crisis.
Yeah, well, I mean, I used to have identity crises quite a bit when I was a roadie for Heart. I used to think that I wasn't a roadie for Heart when I was actually a roadie for Heart.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. But to any one of you listening who want to contribute even more, we need all the correspondence we can get. If something weird happens in your area, or if you have any thoughts, theories, opinions, or feedback on anything we discussed tonight, let us know about it. The best way to reach us is by using the voice recorder that can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. We're excited to hear from you. Now, before we part, I want to thank a few people. First, a big thanks to Aaron for another great evening with me and with you, our listeners. Next, a big shout out to Unicole, who provides the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data, who provides the outro version of O Canada that you're about to hear. But then lastly, but most importantly, I have a massive thank you to every one of you listening to Nighttime, as without your interest and your support, this show would be as pointless as it would be impossible. Now, on the topic of support, I want to give a special thanks to our newest premium feed subscribers, Deborah, Kelly, and Lauren. Thank you for going premium. And for anyone else who'd be interested in supporting the show that way, a premium feed subscription costs just a couple dollars a month, and that money funds the creation of new episodes. But the premium feed will also give you those episodes 2 days early, give them to you ad-free, and give you access to a full back catalog of episodes. If that sounds like something you're interested in, you can go premium at nighttimepodcast.com/subscribe. And if premium isn't for you, sharing this episode on social media and letting all your like-minded friends know they should listen, that helps us a lot too, and it's free. Your support is very much appreciated. Now until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and let us know if you see anything weird.
Keep Canada Weird is written, hosted, and produced by the Nighttime Podcast.
And now to our viewers and listeners everywhere, good night.
One last thing to do here. Story of the night, payphones, a cyclist fight, a car theft problem, in Winnipeg, in the chaos at the Tim Hortons drive-thru. I'll go first this week. I think I'm going to go with the cyclist fight because it's not like violent. No one really got hurt. And it's just something where to shine a spotlight on like this weird hissy fit like that, I wish the news did that more. I would watch the news more often if they were kind of finding these stupid videos and digging too deep into them. I think they're taking a page out of our book.
Mm-hmm. My favorite is Brawhead. I like Brawhead.
Oh, I didn't even put that on the list. Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a visual of this guy, coming out of nowhere with a bra on his head, 2 knives. I wish that was filmed. So many of these stories come along with cell phone footage of the incident, and in that one we don't get it. So we have to use our imaginations, and then the guy happens to be a black belt in karate or whatever, and has a very handy dog as well, and the whole interaction is good. And then the guy leaves in a walker, like
with a briefcase too. Like, how is he holding the knives, the briefcase, a walker with a bra on his head?
It sounds like this karate expert victim had enough skill to be able to fend off Brawhead while filming at the same time. So
yeah, he should have been able to do it. Hold the phone with your hands and kick the guy in the head.
Or be just like Captain Screwdriver and have a GoPro on your chest at all times.
Yeah.
Just make sure the batteries are powered up.
It's been a while since I saw you. Been even longer since I've been inside. Donuts, I hear you call to me, stirring up those feelings I can't hide. I'll take a line, double, 10 robins eggs on the side. And if you want, you can pay it forward to add to someone's surprise.